Hi dear viewers, I hope that you are doing well. Today I am going to introduce you with a book that I have recently read, and this book is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and this book is divided into two parts. In the first book, Viktor Frankl tells us about his sufferings and problems at the camps where they were put by hostages in the concentration camp by Hitler and the Nazis, and how they suffered there and what were the suffering of the writer and the other prisoners. So in the first part he tells us about this, and in the second part he tells us about his theory of logotherapy, in which he introduced that how you can search for meaning in your life, and then you will be able to live a very good life. So first of all, we will be discussing that who was Viktor Frankl and what is the message of his book. Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist, philosopher, author and writer, and he was the co-worker of Sigmund Freud and Adler, and they worked together. And there are three schools of Vienna that are important regarding psychoanalysis. And first school is of Sigmund Freud, second school is of Adler, and the third school is of Viktor Frankl. So Viktor Frankl was born in 1905 and he died in 1997. And in the beginning he worked with Freud and Adler, but then the Second World War started, and as he was a Jew, so he was sent to the concentration camps by Nazis and Hitler, where he led a very miserable life and he suffered. And then his family members were also sent to the concentration camp, where his wife died because of typhus. His mother and his brother were sent to the gas chambers, and they were mercilessly gassed in the gas chambers in the Dachau and other concentration camps. And his father died of pneumonia and hunger. And when he came out of that concentration camp, when the Second World War ended, he wrote this book in 9 days. And this was a remarkable achievement by Viktor Frankl, that he wrote this book in only 9 days. So in coming to the sections of the book, the first book tells us about the sufferings of the prisoners, and he first of all tells us that when the prisoners were sent to different camps, first of all, when they entered the concentration camps, there was a soldier who used to look at the lines in which the soldier used to come, and the soldier used to move his finger left and right, and those who were sent to right, they were destined to go to the gas chambers where they died instantly, and those who were sent to the left side, they went to the work. And these people worked day and night, and there are several things that he mentions. First of all, about the food, that the food that they were given, it was very minimum and negligible, that they were unable to fulfill their needs and the calories that they needed. And the second thing that he mentions is this, that the place where they used to live was so little that they were unable to sleep properly. They had to squat and they had to sit, and while others used to sleep. So their life was very miserable. And then he says that those soldiers who used to live, those prisoners who used to live there, they thought about a lot of food, they thought about release, they thought about good life, and they were unable to fulfill these desires. So these desires came in their dreams. As Sigmund Freud says that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious, in the same way they dreamt about those things that they were unable to get in their real life. So they dreamt about those things. And then the writer mentions about the prisoners, that they slowly and gradually lost hope that they will not be able to survive and they will die. So most of them committed suicide, that it is better to die by your own will and wish instead of being sent to the gas chambers. So they committed suicide. And there were others who did not commit suicide, and they were interested in living. And Viktor Frankl gives importance to those persons who did not lose hope, and they go on living even though their life is very difficult, even though there are sufferings, there are problems, diseases and sufferings everywhere, but still they want to live, they want to have a meaning in their life, and he tells us about three things, that you need to have three things in your mind if you want to live. The one thing that he mentions is this, that you need to work, and he says that you must work in such a way that your work must be helpful for the others. And he mentions that when he was in the concentration camp, he used to volunteer and he used to go to all the prisoners who were ill, and he helped them voluntarily, although he himself became sick, but still he was helping others. And he thought that when you are working and you have a purpose and you have a meaning in your life, you can live your life, because he thought that it is better to help others instead of committing suicide. The second thing that he mentioned is love. He says that love is a thing that will make you to live this life. Instead of committing suicide, you need to think about those people whom you love, and you will go on living. And he mentions that he loved his wife who was in the concentration camp of the female side, and he thought that he was living for his wife, that when he will be released from this concentration camp, he will visit his wife, they will be together. And although he was not sure that whether she is alive or dead, but he thought that she will be alive, and even if she was dead, he thought that he will imagine her and she will be there everywhere around him. And that is why he says that the salvation is only possible through love and in love, that you can have meaning in your life if you love someone. And he says, I will imagine my wife, I will talk to her even though she is absent here, and I will be talking to her, speaking to her, and she will always be there around me, everywhere, in the air, in the sky, in the mountains, everywhere she will be there. And the third thing that he mentions is this, that we need to find meaning in the sufferings, that although you are suffering, but you still need to find a meaning in the suffering. As we look at the existentialists as well, that they want to find a meaning in this miserable life. In the same way, Viktor Frankl wants us to find a meaning in this life, and this meaning can become out of suffering. So these are three ways that he mentions that you may be able to find meaning in your life. And then the second portion of his book is about logotherapy. This is the theory that is given by Viktor Frankl, and this theory is opposite to Sigmund Freud's pleasure principle, or we call will to pleasure, or it is opposite to Adler's theory of will to power. This theory is translated as, or it can be summed as, will to meaning, that we need not to lose hope, we need to live, and we must be thinking about those aspects that will make our life meaningful, that will make our life beautiful, and we can live for it. And he says there can be many reasons, there can be many ways for which you live. So instead of committing suicide and losing hope and becoming a pessimistic person, it is better that you must be an optimistic person, having a meaning in your life. And he says that meaning is not fixed, that every person might not be having a single meaning of life. Every person has his or her own meaning of life. For some it will be one thing, for the others it will be second, and for the other people it will be the third meaning. So he says that you need to find meaning in your life, and this meaning must be based on the hope, that you are hopeful, you are thinking that good will come out of the sufferings and the problems, and you need to be hopeful. Instead of being pessimistic, he wants you to be optimistic and find meaning in your life. So Viktor Frankl suggests us logotherapy that is based on finding meaning in your life. You need to be optimistic in your life, and then you will be a successful person. So he gives several examples in his book, that how people lived after being in the concentration camps, although there was no hope, although there was no satisfaction, or there was no hope of being released from the prison, but still there were a few people who went on living. And he mentioned several other people, he calls them spiritualists, who were there in the concentration camps, although the food was very minimum, that the people were unable to fill their bellies, but still there were people who gave their own food to others. there were people who cured others, and there were people who went to every prisoner and they told them that there will be a dawn, there will be a morning, and there will be a hope, and you will be released. So he mentioned those people who gave hope to the people, who told them to find meaning in their life. And I would suggest all the readers to read this book, that it gives you a way to look at life in a different way, that if you have lost all the hopes, if you think that life is not worth living and you must die, this is a book that will make you live. This is the book that will make you to enjoy the things that you have, and this book will make you to enjoy your sufferings even, and think that the moment in which you are living is very important and you must live this life. I hope that this video will help you in understanding this book, and you will read this book, and I will be sharing other books regarding the concentration camps and the topics related to this subject.